afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the press center of Junior Eurovision Song Contest. And now we are 3 days away from the contest, from the 20th anniversary. And here is the first press conference where we have the speakers. Mr. Hovhannes Movsisyan, Director General for Armenian Public Television, as well as Mr. Martin Osterdahl, the Supervisor of Junior Eurovision Song Contest. Now speakers will give a short introduction, after which we will proceed to the questions from accredited press. My first question is for Mr. Osterdahl. How has the contest evolved over the past years, and what does the 20th anniversary mean to EBU and Eurovision?
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Well, it means a lot to us. This is the 20th anniversary, and we're delighted that Junior Eurovision Song Contest, through some growing pains, has become really and bloomed as a wonderful youth, which is growing a lot every year in popularity. As you probably know, the distribution and the reach of the Junior is growing, and the quality of the talents that we see on display every year has gradually increased as well. These young, incredible young artists that we're seeing here this week, it really does get better and better every year. And not least also in the way that the production is organized every year, and not least so this year, as you will see this week, and you may have already seen the amazing stage we have here in this venue in Yerevan, and the great work that is being put into this by our host broadcasters here in Armenia. Junior is growing a lot, and it has a very, very positive development over the last few years. So for us at the EBU and all the members, it is a very, very beloved child growing a lot.
Thank you so much. And my next question is for Mr. Movsisyan. Mr. Movsisyan,
please tell us a bit about the preparation activities for the 20th anniversary Junior Eurovision. Hi everyone, first of all, welcome to Armenia, to all our guests and delegations and past winners. It's a great honor for us to host the Junior Eurovision and to celebrate the 20th anniversary in Armenia. We prepared for quite some time for the Junior Eurovision, right after the victory in December last year, when we started the negotiations on conducting the Junior Eurovision in Yerevan. We've come a long way with our partners. I'm very grateful to our partners for the support. The very first meetings about conducting Junior Eurovision began early this year, in the spring, and at that time we agreed with our European partners to work as one team. And today I can say with confidence that we have succeeded. And that is one of the reasons why we think, and this is not just our opinion, we are doing well. We are succeeding in celebrating the anniversary 20th Junior Eurovision in Yerevan. A few brief highlights of the journey so far. We began right away the negotiation with Junior Eurovision on the financial aspects, because to negotiate with the European side we needed confidence that we have the required financing, and we received approval from the government of Armenia. Thereafter we confirmed our readiness to host Junior Eurovision in Yerevan. We've brought in hundreds of specialists to hold this Junior Eurovision. Not only partners of EBU, our colleagues, but also several European countries, and specialists from these countries have been helping us. And currently at the Sports and Music Complex we have over 1,000 specialists working, participants of the show, specialists in various fields, so that what we see here at the complex on 10 and 11 of December will truly be memorable, and I think that we will succeed in doing so. We've introduced a few differences, and we've tried to make the 20th anniversary more unique. For this purpose, we invited to Yerevan winners of the past 19 years. Most of them have been in Yerevan. They are in Yerevan, as you saw, at Republic Square. At the opening ceremony, they performed. During the actual show, they will be on stage as well. And I hope that you will like the performance, which is quite unique. And our team has been working long on this performance of the winners, which will also involve the Tavush Diocese Choir. We have also a unique host. We've announced the hosts already, our 3 hosts. We have also the 4th host, and we've announced about the 4th host, and this 4th host is Robin. Robin's presence is very important for us, also in the sense that Robin will demonstrate and embody at this show Armenia's technological potential, the potential which Armenia has, and we're moving in this direction. And it's very important for us to show this capacity, to showcase this potential. A number of important activities are being held in Yerevan as part of the 20th anniversary. And the main show on the 10th and 11th of December, our whole Eurovision week, as we conditionally call it, our whole Eurovision week will conclude. But of course, you saw the wonderful opening ceremony at Republic Square, and we had a closed event that we published about yesterday, and there will soon be videos about the event organized in the metro for our delegates. I can assure you, it was very impactful. Thank you. This is all. Thank you, Mr. Movsisyan. We now turn to the questions from the floor.
Questions from the accredited press. If you have any, please raise your hand and use the microphones. Please use the microphones and ask your question.
Thank you. Ben Robertson, ESC Insight. Martin, I agree with you that the improvements in quality of the artists at Junior Eurovision has gone further and further every year. I think we're at a point that Junior Eurovision is so strong, and we always get winners of quality, that we should start a new tradition, that the winners of this contest don't only get to go to Eurovision in May, but maybe even get to sing their song. Is that a tradition that maybe could start in the future, do you think?
Well, thanks. Yeah, I think we, excuse me, I think we all agree that the songs and the performances really have taken giant leaps recently and continue to do so. The Eurovision Song Contest, however, as you know, is a different project. It's a different group of participating broadcasters as well, to a certain extent. It is governed by a different governing board. We always want to acknowledge and embrace Junior at the Eurovision Song Contest as well, and we do that every year in slightly different versions. We haven't gone as far yet as to actually have the song being performed on stage. You know, there are some other issues with the Eurovision Song Contest having so many songs in one broadcast, the grand final having already 26 as it is, and then you have interval acts and you have things that the host broadcaster wants to show to us. So there is it's a crowded space for sure, but we're not ruling anything out. It could potentially be something for the future.
Thank you. Next question. Please.
So Lisa Jane Lewis from Switch Radio in the UK. Probably a question for Martin as well, more than the other two, thank you. So this is the 20th anniversary, and it's right and really good that we've been looking back at the history of Junior Eurovision. Martin, I want to ask you what your vision is for the future of Junior Eurovision and where you see us going and where you think we might be in 5 years' time, the journey that we're on.
Well, thank you. That's a big question. I'd like to say that we are, first of all, we're focusing on this week. We are delighted by the preparations made by our partners here in Armenia. I think the opening ceremony that we saw on Monday was a new milestone. I was blown away by the creativity on display, by the quality of the production and organization, and also the social program that's been put together here for all the delegations from across Europe have been really outstanding. I had the pleasure of going myself, actually for the first time ever, to a social program at the Eurovision or Junior, and it was absolutely extraordinary. So I think what's happening here this year is that in the 20th anniversary, we're taking another step with Junior. Looking ahead, I think you know, there are certain things to consider as this grows even further. I think we're delighted this year to see the UK back, for instance. We now have participation from the big countries again in Junior. We're also seeing that the show is being broadcast on their first channels in many of these countries. So BBC One is broadcasting this, which is amazing. I think that's for the first time. Also Rai Uno is broadcasting in Italy. So it really is taking a step into what is prime time and major channel distribution, which is great. And that, again, pushes ambition level higher and higher. So I think, you know, following the example of what has been done here in Yerevan this year, I think this contest can take further steps and grow even further. I think we can also see more countries joining and distribution getting even wider. So that's what I see in the future.
Thank you so much. Just to give a quick clarification for the Armenian press with terms, the social soциալական ծրագիրը, որ նշեց պարոն Osterdahl.
Osterdahl spoke about a social program. It's a cultural program that is intended for the delegates of the Eurovision, at Eurovision. As Mr. Movsisyan said, we had a unique program this year for the delegates of Eurovision. They entered into the Yerevan metro and suddenly they discovered it's not an ordinary metro, it's a magical train which is taking them to different stops in Armenia, from culture to Armenian games. That's the social program, which we call it so conditionally. Thank you. Next question.
How might take?
Helen Sargsyan, Public Television of Armenia. Perhaps my question is for the organizers. There have been some first contacts with the participants. Can you tell us about their impressions? What was the opening ceremony like to them? And then the stage here, the organization, their impressions of how it's been organized. A few words, please. I think it's best for Mr. Osterdahl to answer this question and tell us about their impressions. We, of course, have heard different opinions. As much as we've heard mostly positive feedback. Of course, we've also had some omissions at different segments. They're not visible as such, but it's very important that throughout this process, all of this has been a great learning experience for us as a television company and as specialists in the field. This has been a school for us, and we've always learned. We've constantly learned throughout the organization of all of this, and I'm very glad that whatever we've received in this 1 year certainly is meriting positive feedback. But I would like to ask Mr. Osterdahl to share some impressions.
Thank you. Happy to do so. I think what I can say from the impressions from all the 16 delegations here in Yerevan is that everyone is really taken aback and impressed by not only the quality of the organization and the infrastructure here in the venue and the stage and the production, which really is world class, but I'd say even more so with the warm welcome and the hospitality that has been shown to us from all your co-workers and employees at the broadcaster here in Armenia. And I believe that's part of your culture, to really welcome guests in a special way. And I can say that has really been felt and is very much appreciated. I think, you know, we are television professionals. We travel around the world or around Europe mostly. and do these kind of shows every year, the Junior and the big Eurovision Song Contest. I think this lives up to all expectation and also exceeds a lot of expectations, not least in the quality of the show that you will be seeing this week.
Let me just briefly add, the actual opening day, on the actual opening day, we were walking around with Mr. Osterdahl, we were touring Republic Square and different spots, and I'm very happy that so many of our fellow Armenians came to the Republic Square for the lighting of the Christmas tree and to welcome the delegations to Yerevan, because that warm reception has really been appreciated by everyone. And I remember when Mr. Osterdahl saw the square full, he said, "Is Junior Eurovision so popular in Armenia? So many people do love Junior Eurovision in Armenia." And I told him how many views Junior Eurovision is getting, how loved it is in Armenia, and this has been crucial. This reception has really been essential, and as you see, it's making an impact. Thank you. News AM. Christina Arakelian, News AM. My question is for you, Mr. Movsisyan. To date, there have been a lot of questions about tickets. Tickets ran out quickly. Were you expecting that? And is there any data about buyers being mostly from abroad or from Armenia, from within? Thank you. That's right. It was unexpected for us. The reaction we saw around Junior Eurovision, and I think that, well, this is also a result of our public relations efforts. Recently we're saying that perhaps maybe we should speak less about Junior Eurovision, because the people who want to come, the number of people who want to come and participate and be in the hall is so huge that, and unfortunately, there aren't enough tickets. I recall that when we decided to conduct the sale in 2 stages, one of the reasons behind it was to make it possible for foreign audience to also purchase tickets, to know in the first stage how to buy and perhaps to manage to buy in the second phase. And then the first phase was announced a bit early for the foreign audience. The sale of the tickets was pre-announced for the foreign audience before it was announced for sale within Armenia. But whatever happens, it turned out demand was significantly greater than what we could offer in terms of the number of seats in the room, in the hall. As a result of an enormous technical effort, the number of seats has declined in the Sports and Music Complex. I think in the next few days you will see it. Now, you've seen the pictures of what we've produced, what we've set up in the greater auditorium in the complex, and that's one reason why there are fewer seats and there's great demand. Now, to give you just one example, many people have said that the website wasn't working, of the ticketing company, our partner, and that there were ticket purchasing problems. But unlike the first phase, when tickets ran out after 1.5 hours of opening of the ticket box, in this case we were told that at the moment when the ticketing started, fewer tickets were up for sale than the number of people on the website waiting to purchase tickets. And that's one of the reasons why the website was overloaded and there were technical challenges. We do regret that it happened, that many more people wanted to be present, but it's a fact of life. The number of seats in the room is limited, and that's one of the reasons why we organized such a grand opening, so that the people who want to go there with their kids, with their children, and be present at Eurovision, Junior Eurovision events, can come to Republic Square and be present at the opening ceremony, which I think was a great celebration as well. Thank you. Armen Press, please.
Angela Hambartsumyan, Armen Press.
Angela Hambartsumyan of Armen Press. Perhaps the question is for the EBU representative. A few years ago, when we said Eurovision, the first thing that came to mind was a show, lots of people singing, dancing, etc. But there seems to be a greater attention to the vocal aspect, to the singing. What are the trends in Junior Eurovision in that sense? This may not be an appropriate question, but are there obvious favorites this year? Thank you.
Thank you. Not sure I understood the question perfectly, but are you asking me if there are any favorites to win? I wouldn't, unfortunately be able to speculate on that. I think we have 16 great performances for this show. I don't know who's going to win. Was that the question?
The first question. The first question was, what is the trend? Is there a greater focus
I think
on
that
singing
the observation
at
of the journalist is that...
the trend of a vocal trend? Well, I mean, Eurovision has always been about strong vocals since its beginning, and it still is today. To do well in the Eurovision, you need a standout performance, a standout song, a unique song, but also a very strong vocal performance. I don't think that has changed. I think, it ebbs and flows, different trends, of course, in popular music. But at the end of it, you need to have a very strong vocal performance. What I find very interesting in the last few years is that the diversity of languages, which has sometimes been discussed both in Junior and Eurovision, whether that's something that's been threatened. We've seen a lot of countries performing and doing really well, singing in their own language and not just in the English language, which of course is dominant. So that is a trend I'm happy about. We've seen it in Eurovision Song Contest recently, and we're seeing it here, of course, as well.
Thank you so much. Any more questions from, please?
Hello, I'm Shavash, representing OJ Armenia. My question is for Mr. Movsisyan or Ms. Hovhannes. What was the reason for the most expensive Junior Eurovision Song Contest in the whole history? Thank you.
Thank you. As I said already, this is the 20th anniversary of the Junior Eurovision, and we celebrate the 20th anniversary the way the 20th anniversary of Junior Eurovision should be celebrated. And this time, Junior Eurovision needed to be different. It's a jubilee. It's an anniversary, and this is an opportunity for us to showcase that Armenia can host large-scale events, plan them, conduct them on a high level, and to hear opinions like the ones we just heard from Mr. Osterdahl. This is very important, and one of the reasons was the 20th, that it's the 20th anniversary of the Junior Eurovision. That's why the celebration has been so different.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Ben Robertson, ESC Insight. Can I just stick on that point about the budget of this show? Have there been any special elements, whether it be renovations to the arena or some of the spectacles we saw on Monday, for example? Where exactly can you pinpoint what those costs have been to make this so expensive? Where has that expenditure gone?
Great, thank you. Frankly speaking, I was expecting that an Armenian journalist would ask the money question, but we got it from a non-Armenian medium, but I will still answer it. I have this paper with me which has a detailed breakdown of what the money was spent on, because there have been some discussions, of course, not as much as we expected, but there have been discussions. Let me inform you that a lot of equipment, lights, voice, LED screens, sound equipment, stage, technical sections, special video equipment has been rented and imported from abroad, from different countries. And just here alone, we spent about half of our budget, slightly under half of our budget. That's just one example of a pinpointed area. As to the opening ceremony, true, there were significant expenses there. Not to compare, of course, there were also significant expenses in the metro for the events there. Besides, many professionals, many staff have been engaged for the organization of Junior Eurovision. As I told you, over 1,000 people are currently working in this area to organize the show. And the wages are also quite a sizable expense. A large group of specialists are not from Armenia, and importantly, we've brought in experienced professionals from abroad who have Eurovision experience. Now we can candidly tell you that this experience was needed for us. We needed to see so as to learn how to host different elements of such events. The parts which were led by our partners, meaning the staff of public television company or Armenian companies' representatives, were done on our own. And the parts for which we lacked experience, we brought in professionals from abroad. And this is one of the reasons why, by hosting such large events, we gain also experience. We will have then specialists in the country. The other expenses have been incurred in different areas, but the bulk, about 60–70%, as I just presented in a few big line items, to give you a rough idea of what the money was spent on. Question from the journalist, and this will probably be the final question.
My question is for Mr. Martin Osterdahl. As an executive supervisor for both Eurovision and Junior Eurovision, who has been in many other host countries, we want to ask what's the main difference you have noticed in Armenia that hadn't been implemented by other countries before, and what impressed you the most?
Thank you. As mentioned already, I think what really is striking is the, and also what we've just heard, the importance of this event, how much it means to this city and to this host broadcaster. I think that is something that we all feel, and that's something that makes us very warm at heart. We're very grateful for it. I think the welcoming, the hospitality is special. It's, you know, you can't really put your finger on what that is, but it's a feeling that you get when you come here, that the event is very well received, it's very welcome, it's very important, and that makes us very proud and very grateful.
Thank you, Martin. Please.
Hi, Dina from Eurovision Insider. Now there is a tendency to hold contest in the last year winner's country. Would you like to consolidate it officially?
Sorry, could you repeat the last bit there?
Would you like to consolidate it officially?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Thank you.
Okay. It's different in junior from the Eurovision Song Contest in terms of obligations in our rules. I think I'm not sure we're quite there at that level of maturity yet for junior to make it automatic or to have the obligation included in the rules that if you win, you host. What we normally do is we have a conversation with the winning country and with other potential host broadcasters as well, after each Junior Eurovision, to see where the best requirements are each year to host. And I think we'll keep that.
Yes, please.
Ben Robertson, ESC Insight. Some of the previous winners of Junior Eurovision are going to be here in Yerevan. Not all of the previous winners are going to be here. Some of those previous winners have used social media to express that they were not invited to the show. Can you please explain or tell us a story if all previous winners were invited? And if some weren't, please explain why not. And can you please use this opportunity to say a message to some of those artists who are not here, a message from yourselves as organizers, even though they're not present in Armenia?
Thank you for that question. About a month ago, there seemed to have been a discussion about whom we invited and whom we didn't. Well, actually, we invited everyone to Yerevan, all 19 winners of all 19 years. The majority of them confirmed their attendance. Some of them refused. Some of them never got back. But right after that, when there were publications about us allegedly not inviting everyone, we publicly, also in the media, declared that we are inviting. And I can say now, we are inviting. We have just 3 days to the show, and the jury show will be in 2 days. But we are inviting. Our doors are open to past winners, and we've declared this. We reiterate that invitation now.
Hi, Martin. I'm Mark from ESC Plus. I have 3 questions of you. Can I do one by one? Because if the translator wants to do in Armenian, so you can answer also one by one.
Let's do it one by one,
okay.
And we'll see who's directed to.
So first question is related about what you tell us, that more people or more countries are interested in participate and more audience is growing up. So do you have thought about changing the schedule now that there are greater number of countries from the Western Bloc participating, or return to Saturdays or afternoon night as the initial editions of the contest? The current schedule, you can think that maybe it's too early for some countries from the West.
So I had a hard time hearing you. Could you speak up a little bit?
Yeah. Okay. Have you thought about changing the schedule now that there are greater number of countries from the Western Bloc participating, and return to Saturday afternoon or night as in the first editions? The current one is too early for some countries, maybe from the West.
So, okay, you're talking about the slot where we broadcast? Yeah. Yes, it's a good point. It is a conversation I believe that we will be having in the future, whether this is the right slot, whether it's more of a, and it's different in different countries. It's in some countries the broadcasters deal with junior from the children's department, and in some other countries it's more the entertainment department. So it falls into different places in different organizations, basically. But it's something that we're discussing in the steering group of the Junior Eurovision Song Contest, whether this is more to be considered a family entertainment show and should perhaps move into Access Prime or even prime time, and also whether it should be Saturday or Sunday, because that is something that also changes in time in different countries, which is the best night for this kind of show.
Thank you. My second one is about the winner. Will the winner of Junior Eurovision Song Contest 2022 have a chance to be at the Eurovision 2023 Great Final in Liverpool? Just because in recent years the winner of the Junior just stopped to go into the Grand Final and appear in the semi-final.
So if the winner of Junior will appear in Liverpool?
In the
yes.
Liverpool, in the Grand Final to be exposed.
Yeah, I mean, as you probably know, we try and do that every year in different ways. We haven't made the final plans yet for the 3 shows in Liverpool, but as ever, we will try and embrace the winner of Junior in a good way.
Okay, and the last one, it's about the digital music album. This year the album is digital. Have you thought about launching a physical edition of this year's CD or a compose of all the winner songs, like the 20th anniversary edition or something related?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think that has been discussed.
I know that some winners change their voice because he grew up, so he do recent versions of their songs. So maybe some.
It's a good idea. I'll take that with me and I'll discuss it with Universal Music. Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. I am Enrique Federico from Spain, and I write for El Relacional. In this case, Martin, are there any countries that have not participated this year in the Junior Eurovision Song Contest but have shown this intention to participate the next year? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, of course, this show is being broadcast in Germany. And the German delegation is not here, as you know, and I'm confident that they will be back next year. We also have interest from a few other countries as well that are not here. I'm not going to spoil the surprise, but as you probably know, there are some areas that we think this can develop and grow in. I'm having a dialogue with some of the countries in Northern Europe that are not here, and I'm hopeful that they will join eventually. Thank you.
Yes, please. Hametik.
Good afternoon. My question is for Mr. Movsisyan. What was your priority in selecting the host, and what are Robin's main functions? You did say recently Robin will be host number 4, but what will Robin be doing? Thank you. Thank you for that question. The hosts were selected through casting. We had quite some time. We had a casting process, and we considered a number of individuals. I will not give you the names now, but different options were discussed. Finally, eventually, the people who were selected are actually in one way or another related with Eurovision. All 3 are related with Eurovision. They've dealt with Eurovision in one way or another. And of course, there are a number of standards, criteria such as language and others, but we also consider those criteria, and also being recognizable to the European audience was one of the important criteria for us. As to Robin, as I said, we tried to add a new, unique element and have a host who operates based on artificial intelligence and is an Armenia-made robot who will showcase Armenia's technological potential and capacity, and I think that Robin's significance, or the purpose for which Robin was created, does relate with all of this. It is related with children, and this was one of the reasons why we brought in Robin. Thank you. Questions? If Armenia wins again this year, can we host it again? Will we have the opportunity again to host the contest here? Well, yesterday we discussed this, actually. It was a question. We discussed it not as a possibility, but as a question. Nobody knows who will win. We would need to have a discussion. As you know, Junior Eurovision, unlike Eurovision, post-victory, it's not mandatory that the Junior Eurovision will be hosted by the winning country. This time, we negotiated to bring Junior Eurovision to Armenia. So, if Armenia wins, we will have to negotiate again. A new round of negotiations to understand the positions of the sides. Thank you. If there are no further questions, we will conclude the press conference.
Thank you everyone for joining us, both on site and watching us online.
Stay tuned to the Junior Eurovision updates. Before we conclude, we would like to once again speak about the ticketing issue, especially for the Armenian audience. Mr. Movsisyan, your final comment on that, please. Thank you, dear colleagues, dear fellow Armenians who are tuned, who are listening to us. We know that there's a huge process around the tickets of Junior Eurovision. A lot of resale of tickets is happening, and we have been hearing about abnormal prices for the resale of the tickets. Of course, there's nothing we can do with that, because that part is not controlled, but instead we have information about the circulation of fake, false tickets. We don't know about their number, but I want to reiterate the message to our fellow Armenians that here at the entrance of the sports and music complex, only the tickets purchased from the ticket box will be valid, and tickets purchased from Telcel, a very small number of tickets from Telcel, who are the main sponsor, will be valid. Tickets purchased elsewhere, market, black market, other markets, those tickets may be invalid, they may be fake, and you may fall victim to fraud, and there may be an unpleasant situation when you come to the sports and music complex. So I will ask you, make sure you purchase the tickets here, although there are no more tickets to purchase, but be careful to not go to resellers. There can be false tickets, counterfeit tickets, and you may suffer. The public broadcaster and the EBU cannot bear liability for this. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Movsisyan. We will hereby conclude the press conference. We would like to inform you that at the press center of Junior Eurovision there will be a number of other meetings. We will be meeting Rosalyn, Malena, all the participants will become acquainted with all of them, and then finally we will host the winning performer here, and we will have a chance to ask final questions at the final press conference. Thank you. Stay tuned to the news.